Hey everyone, welcome to week 73. Today's day 3. Today's Wednesday. This is our third day on our ongoing rhythm week. So let's see how we do. Okay, let's get started. This is day 3. This is our third day in our ongoing rhythm week. I think it was a good choice. It was almost like a safe choice to title this week's theme as rhythm, just to give myself a little bit more headroom to try and understand what I'm trying to do. Because sometimes I feel like some of these weeks, I have a firm grasp on a thesis I'm trying to present to people. And other times I feel, okay, this is my theme. And quite honestly, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm just going to try to figure it out as I'm doing it. Because I think a lot of painting works within that realm. Sure, there are many times that we know exactly what we want to do. Sometimes we may have a solo show in a year and a half's time, and we have an exact idea of the sort of work we want to present. We are sure that all of that work is going to be tied together by a single thesis, and it's going to be very powerful work. You know, when you see the totality of the work, the show as a whole, there's going to be a single message that's communicated with efficiency, with power, and that's going to make for a very solid show. Other times, and I'm going to say that this happens more often than not, we try to figure things out as we go along. I always say this, painting is no different than life. And there are moments in life where you know what you're doing. I've certainly lived some of those moments in life where everything just kind of falls into place and you are certain of what you want to do, and you work your butt off, and it pays off, and it feels wonderful. You had set specific goals for yourself, and you were able to achieve them, and the sense of satisfaction is incredible. So, yeah, sure, life has those moments, but there are other times in life where, and we have to make it up as we go along. I could tell you this, for example, with my kids, Samu and Fer, if you'd asked me in my 20s, like mid-20s, what I wanted to do with my life. And by the way, my kids know this, so don't worry about it. I would have said I want to be single. I don't want to have kids. I just want to paint and travel. I just want to be painting all the time. That's all I want to do. Travel the world and paint. Amazing. And a couple of years later, I got married. I had 2 kids. I had no idea what I was doing. I was horrified because I am afraid of little kids. I don't know what to do with myself with little kids. When they're older, it's amazing. If I can play video games or if I can go out and play football with kids, perfect. Absolutely perfect. But when they're helpless, oh my God, I'm useless. I'm absolutely useless. So I was horrified when I had my 2 kids. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to hold a kid. When I'm going to give them a bath, they're going to slip. I'm going to drop them. This was like certainty for me. I was going to be absolutely hopeless. And the truth is, Samu is 14, Fed is 10, and they're incredible kids. They're absolutely amazing. And I have absolutely no idea how they have gotten this far, and they are just wonderful kids. They're unharmed, totally fine. They're perfectly fine. And if you would have asked me back then, I wouldn't have known how to answer what my plan was for the next couple of years because I had no idea. And I had to just pay attention to what was going on and adjust my life and then, try to work my hardest so that my kids could have a good, honest life. So painting in many ways is no different than that. There's no reason to believe that we are going to behave one way in life and then we're going to be completely different human beings when we paint. That doesn't quite make sense. Painting is a reflection of who we are as human beings. So if we doubt in life, we doubt in painting. If we are confident of the moment that we're living, chances are that sentiment is going to be reflected in our work. So for this week, initially, I thought, well, I don't want to do a week about pattern because all I'm going to do is do a couple of decorative paintings and that's about it. It's going to be superficial painting. And I was afraid of it. I was afraid of encountering what that meant or what that felt like. And I think with Monday's painting, I acquired a sense of footing of what I was trying to do. And I think yesterday, I told myself, come on, if you wanted to do pattern, if you wanted to draw out this form, and if you wanted to speak about repetition and hence reflect on rhythm, then do it. I said something yesterday that was kind of weird because I think it's the first time I've ever said it about my work. And I don't know if it makes sense. I'm trying to figure out if it does or if I just blurted out something stupid. But when I was describing the painting yesterday, I said, I'm painting something. Obviously, who I'm painting is Dani, but I'm trying to paint something through Dani that is aware of it being a painting. I honestly don't even know if that makes sense. I think it's either very stupid or I'm doing small but very important discoveries about, my sensibility as a painter. And when I tried to explain what I meant by, a painting that's self-aware, I just imagined this painting, this character in this painting. Obviously, again, it's Dani, but I imagined this character in this painting parting her hair and pulling her hair down, and then understanding that all these stripes, all this vertical rhythm that she was almost subjected to, because, the subject of a painting doesn't choose to be the subject of a painting. The subject of the painting is because somebody decided to paint them. So this character in the painting is just pulling her hair down, and it's almost as if she's recognizing that, the shirt she's wearing is making her do these sort of things. The fact that all these drawn painted marks have this vertical gesture, it gives our character almost reason enough to say, yes, if I wear this shirt, I have to pull my hair down. I know it sounds nonsensical, but it feels true. I mean, I've always imagined my paintings as being universes in and of themselves. So they all have highly specific rules. The nature that governs them is inherent, almost indigenous to that painting. So the things that work for one painting don't necessarily have to work for another painting. And in this particular painting, that heightened sense of consciousness within the painting, inside this realm of the painting, is something that I wanted to explore, as if the echo that was being produced by the pattern was making the subject of the painting act accordingly. I don't know if it's ridiculous. I'm guessing somebody could say, well, you're the one that designed the painting. You're the one that's making these things happen. This is not about the painting. This is about you. This is the order that you're creating. So the rest of the presentation of the painting is kind of pointless, because a painting is not a sentient being. So you can't just suppose that there is life to this painting. I don't know. Sometimes I choose to believe that there is. Ultimately, they are my paintings, so I can believe whatever I want while I paint them. And I think that if I truly believe in those things, if that's the hill that I die on, something cool happens. There's this power to being completely convinced about what you're doing. So even though it sounds a little nuts, a little crazy, I think these sort of reflections, as absurd as they may sound, they help me. They help me find my way, especially in weeks where I'm trying to grasp things and where I realize, okay, rhythm, the theme for this week, is something that's super abstract. And I think I was afraid to accept that, I did want to talk about pattern, and I did want to talk about repetition, and maybe I wanted to talk about those things as being present in fabric, in clothing. And I don't know, I felt that maybe it wasn't enough. And I think something happened that was pretty cool, where the painting itself was showing me that, hey, don't think that this is not enough. This is more than enough. You just have to believe in the story that you're telling yourself. For today's painting, we are accepting that very tempting power that pattern has over the image. And what I mean by that is that I'm hoping that pattern and subject start to have a dialogue between each other, but in a way start to have this confrontation. For today's painting, I want this pattern to almost become the painting. And there are going to be two instances, two very clear stages in the painting, where the upper hemisphere of the painting is going to point to the fact that there is a presence of Dani. But then the rest of the painting, which is obviously present also in the upper hemisphere, but its strength becomes far more evident in the mid and lower part of the painting, where we're calling upon a wonderful artist, an incredibly talented artist, Tara Booth. Dani and I absolutely love her work. We got this shirt of hers that has a bunch of her paintings as pattern, which are almost always self-portraits. And aside from this shirt being absolutely amazing, it just gave us a chance to examine a different relationship between information that's held within the pattern and, again, our seemingly more hierarchical subject matter, which would be Dani in this painting. And I think that what ultimately happened with this particular painting was almost like inevitable. I think Tara's work is just so powerful, almost overpowering, that it just took over the painting. If you would have asked me before I was doing this painting, I thought the painting would have developed in a more subtle direction. So what I mean by that is that I thought that I was going to be able to say shirt first, and then I was going to be able to speak about Tara's work, about all the figures that are part of this wonderful pattern. But honestly, as I started to paint them and just kind of block them in these little, masses of color, I realized, okay, this is just too strong. This is going to eat up anything I put right next to it. And instead of placating that strength, instead of trying to push back all this wonderful information that is obviously present in Tara's work, I gave into her work, and it was an incredible experience. I mean, I don't know how to paint the way she paints. I mean, she's a beast at doing what she does. And the only way I can experience, even if it's a tiny, tiny little experience, but the only way I can sensibly understand what she's doing is by attempting to paint with the same energy she paints. And again, that's just an incredible, incredible experience. So I thought something happened that was very, very cool, very interesting, which was that yesterday, you could argue that I was subjecting the character of the painting with the decisions that I made, the compositional design decisions that I made. So when I speak about yesterday's painting and I say, oh, Dani is pulling her hair down because she's prompted to do so by this energy that resides in this repetitive line work that she is wearing, you could argue that that's me. It's not that the painting is self-conscious. It's not that the painting is sentient in any way. It's just that I'm imposing myself over the character of my painting. But today, Tara's work just bulldozered over me. I mean, it's so powerful that I couldn't even understand it as a shirt. And it was a very hopeful painting because I'm sure you guys are noticing, but I'm painting the painting from top to bottom. So at the top of the painting, where I had what I thought were going to be, in terms of a hierarchical scale, the most important moment of the painting, which is the gesture of the hands buttoning up the shirt. And there was enough information in terms of the modeling of the shirt that I was like, okay, this is how it's going to go. I have to suggest the three-dimensional nature of the shirt first, and then I'll subject the information that's in the pattern to that volume that I had blocked in. And that sounded like a good plan. I thought, okay, this is for sure going to work. It just requires a little bit of self-control, and that's about it. It's about filtering information through the notion of a volume. And I don't want to make this sound more simple than it actually is, because it is indeed complicated, but it is a plan. Like, you can visualize that road ahead of you and you're like, okay, this is going to be tough, but I kind of know what I have to do. I just have to be super concentrated. And then painting happens. We may bring our A game many times when we paint. We may puff our chest and we may think, okay, I've had 2 weeks of amazing painting behind me. Throw anything in front of me, I can paint it. And then suddenly, even though you know what you have to do, even though you know you have the tools to do it, and you have the brain to do it, you know you can concentrate and pull this off, something happens. Sometimes paintings, and honestly, that's why I think they're just kind of like living things. But sometimes paintings go, it is not about us. It's almost like going horseback riding. You could jump on that horse and just travel for like an hour. And if you just kind of loosen the reins, the horse is going to go back home. It's going to gallop and run back to its stable. That's what they know. And sometimes paintings feel like that. I know that it's very scary to lose control on a painting, because usually we equate that with just making an absolute mess. But honestly, sometimes if we just kind of ride that wave and we say, okay, I thought I was going to do something else, but then this painting is telling me, nope, okay, that was the pre-game, but now that we're playing, this is a whole different ball game. And we have to adjust. We have to learn how to adjust, and we have to learn how to accept those things. And like I said, painting, no different than life. Loosen those reins, tell the horse to go, and it's going to take you home. So this was this painting's home, where I was no longer in control. I thought that I was going to do this amazing shirt and this amazing pattern, and not really. I ended up just doing a painting about experiencing someone else's work, somebody's painting that I profoundly admire. I wasn't going to deny myself that pleasure. I'm not that strong enough. And I don't think it is about being strong enough. I think that at times you just have to go like, let me go through this. This is amazing. When else am I going to put myself in a situation where I can just try and experience? I mean, experience doesn't mean that I can do what she does. Of course I can't. But I'm going to be able to just imagine myself, through her work, which is absolutely incredible. When else, outside of painting, can I grant myself a gift like that? That's why painting is incredible. It's absolutely amazing. So before I started this painting today, I thought, the week was about something else. I was trying to push the week towards a different direction. Maybe tomorrow I'm going to try something a little bit different. But for today, I told myself, come on, stop it. Just enjoy it. So just give yourself that opportunity. Obviously, this painting wouldn't be if it wasn't for Tara Booth. The experience that I ultimately accepted and I enjoyed having just wouldn't have existed if it wasn't for Tara's wonderful work. Huge props to her. Shout out to her. She's an amazing, amazing artist. Both Dani and I love her work. And if anything, this is just a very direct love letter to her. Our way of saying, you're amazing, and thank you for giving us the chance to feel just a tiny bit of your amazing world. That's going to be it for today. Like I said, tomorrow, I think we're going to try something a little bit different. We'll see how that goes, but that's going to be tomorrow. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Bye.